It was back in 1996. In Kamchatka, the nights are very long and cold. It was on one of these days that it all started. I woke up from my dog barking. Lord was standing near the door to the bathroom, growling and scratching it. It was very late. The dog, of course, was punished for this, but they did not attach any importance to what happened. The Lord was very smart. He stopped making noise at night, but he categorically refused to go to his room to spend the night and always lay on the rug next to the bathroom. When I went out to the kitchen or to relieve myself at night, I was always surprised that the dog was not sleeping and was just looking at that door, until one day I heard some scratching. At first I thought it was just my imagination, but it lasted quite a long time, and I could fall asleep because of this. I woke up my parents. They reluctantly listened to these sounds. It didn't seem like it to me. Everyone heard the scratching. At first they thought it was a dog, but when they went out into the hallway, he just lay there and looked at the door. The sounds came from the basement just under our bathroom, but soon died down. For about a week, nothing like this happened again. Everything seemed to calm down and be forgotten. But one morning at breakfast, my father complained that he woke up because the ventilation mesh had fallen in the bathroom, and the Lord began to bark wildly and rush at the door. The father tried to calm the dog, but nothing worked, so he turned on the light in the bathroom and tried to open the latch on the door, which sometimes jammed. When he went inside, he found no one, only a mesh lying on the floor. He went to get a chair and put it in place, but strange sounds in the ventilation greatly alarmed him, and for the rest of the night he could not sleep. The story was shared with friends. Everyone assumed that these were simple rats. They advised us to get a cat, however. That's what we did. I picked up a large, strong cat on the street. I was afraid that Lord would attack him, but they got along well together. Vaska, as the cat was named, was left in the bathroom at night, and on the second morning he was found sleeping and happy, with the remains of a small rat caught nearby. Everyone calmed down. Life returned to its normal course. A couple of weeks passed. I was returning home when it was already dark. Our apartment was on the first floor. There were two entrances to the entrance on both sides of the house, but one of them was constantly locked, and near it quite a lot of garbage has accumulated along with discarded furniture. As luck would have it, the light bulb in the entrance was stolen, but somehow no one got around to replacing it. I approached the door, when suddenly I heard some sounds from the cluttered entrance. I was numb with fear. A terrible hissing was added to the sounds. With great difficulty, afraid to move, I found the doorbell on the wall and pressed the button, but a wild, chilling fear did not let me go. The hissing did not subside, and it seemed that it was already very close. I was afraid to even scream, let alone run out into the street. It seemed as soon as I turned away, it would rush at me. Suddenly, the hissing stopped. I saw light in the door peephole and heard the sound of the lock opening. My mother opened the door. Part of the entrance was illuminated by a light bulb in the hallway. When I literally flew into the apartment, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed the outline of an animal the size of a large black cat, but the two ruby eyes were not at all like a cat's. In cats, light is reflected in a yellow or greenish light, but here there were blood-red eyes. Some 20 seconds, when I waited for the door to be opened, seemed like an eternity to me. I slammed the door with both locks on the entire entrance. I couldn't calm down for a long time. I was shaking all over. My teeth were chattering. My face turned pale. Nobody believed me. They said that I had seen a cat, but I could no longer sleep peacefully. The fear settled in well and for a long time. The worst thing is that no one wanted to believe, and I myself probably wouldn't have believed a 6-year-old boy. After a while, I calmed down. I stopped having nightmares. It seemed to me that I was imagining things. Spring had come. Our family went to a barbecue out of town. They took the collie with them, of course. We left for the whole day, returned late. My father was the first to enter the apartment and immediately stopped dead in his tracks, dropped his bag, and told my mother and I to go outside. We spent the night with my father's colleague for a couple of days. As they later told me, my father, entering the apartment, saw a bloody trail from the bathroom into the kitchen, where Vaska lay dead, all bitten as if by some kind of dog. Leaving for a picnic, we let the cat out into the street, but as always happens, they forgot to close the window and the latch to the bathroom. The cat, out of habit, climbed into the apartment through the window, and the creature through the ventilation. That's where the bloody trail from the rat's tail smeared with blood led. After the cat's death, we no longer spent the night in that apartment. But the story quickly spread, and one day an elderly woman came to us and told us that she had once lived in this very entrance on the same staircase with us, where there was an abandoned apartment. Their family was forced to move out of there by the death of her infant granddaughter. Everyone in their family worked. The mother was looking after the child, but it turned out that she had to urgently leave the apartment and leave the child alone for about an hour. When she returned, the child's face was gnawed off by rats, the girl, and she died. A week later, my father retired. Submariners have a rather short service life before retirement, and we flew back to Sevastopol. The apartment in the Far East was sold after about 6 months. More than 15 years have passed since those events. No one wanted to remember the story anymore, until my old friend from a neighboring house in Kamchatka came to visit us. Over a bottle of vodka, we began to remember our childhood and touched upon that very story with a huge rat. Tolik, that was my friend's name, spoke about the events that took place after our departure. In that house, they found a homeless man who had been eaten and decided to spend the night in one of the abandoned apartments. The police were informed, but they were forbidden to advertise this story. They were told that they could not sow panic among the masses. Then the residents of the nearest houses first began to let the cats into the basement, but all that was left of them were their heads. The bodies were completely eaten. Then they scattered rat poison throughout all the basements. This probably saved them. Nothing else terrible happened in the houses. Tolik's father worked as a plumber, and after about 6 months, they had to repair pipes in the basement of that same house. When they finished, he said that they didn't notice a single living rat, but they found some very large, strange, mummified rat carcass, which was badly decomposed, and it was difficult to understand what it was, and no one really wanted to.